Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl, the Minjin B. What you watching on TV? For me, I'm on episode 3 of the Tiffany Haddish show that just came out on Peacock, and so I'm excited about it. Who knew? We're on episode 3, and so it's starting to kind of liven up here. I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. So episode 3 starts out with the ladies. They are on the ferry when they leave from going to see the Sangoma. And they get the little readings and stuff. And so we learn about the miscarriage that Sparkle had that her sister didn't know about. Like she said, the only people that knew about this miscarriage was her parents and the young man that she was with at the time. And I will say this. It was a very moving scene when they revealed the miscarriage during the reading. But the way they talked about it or discussed it, it felt like it was probably pretty recent, just because of the reactions to everybody that was there. I guess it is new. Whenever you learn about it, it's new. But turns out the miscarriage was 20 years ago. So I was like, oh, okay. That doesn't make it any easier, though. Anybody that's experienced a miscarriage, it can be traumatic, especially if you wanted the baby. If you didn't want the baby, it could be nature's blessing. But if you did want the child, that could be very, very, very traumatic. So that's not lost on me at all. But they do kind of go over that a little bit. And Sparkle, which is the one that experienced the miscarriage, is discussing that with her sister, Shimona, during their little ferry ride as they're talking. And so, y'all know, I mentioned I don't know if it was the first episode or the second episode or the third. I don't know. This is the third episode, so I'm going to mention it here if I didn't mention it there. As I have been watching this show, usually you have a couple of fan favorites, or there's usually a fan favorite for everybody, especially when it comes to reality shows. There's usually one personality, maybe two, that you connect with the most. I don't really feel that. I will say this. I like this group of ladies, right? I like the fact that Tiffany, what's interesting to me is that Tiffany is the center of them all, which, she's the ghetto one. She's the one with the most turbulent past, and she is ironically probably the more successful one out of all of them. I find that irony delicious, right? I really like that. I think that's super cool. And I don't really have a favorite friend. I can now pinpoint a little bit more the friend that I'm not that, I hate to say it, but she getting on my goddamn nerves. So I'm not really feeling Miss Shimona. There are a few traits with her that I'm just not a real fan of. First of all, it's a whole religious thing. Not a fan. I don't really trust people a whole lot that subscribe to certain ideologies and things like that, and so that to me is off-putting, first off. And then second off, she really does strike me as the type of friend. She's the person that thinks that her way is the right way to do things, which is fine, because I think we all think the way that we do things is the right way to do things for ourselves, right? But she seems a little pushy in the way she expresses some of her thoughts and her preferences and things, especially for other folks. I don't think she means any harm. I will say that. I don't think she means any harm. I think she must be a fantastic friend. They've been friends for 30 years or so, since the 90s, since like high school time. So she's probably a very sweet lady, and I want to make sure that I'm, responsible in mentioning that. But that bitch getting on my nerves. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that sounds so terrible, but I mean, I'm just saying. God damn, leave her home. I think Sparkle shares a similar sentiment. Now, the thing is with that is, like, I'll say Shimona is kind of laxed with her pushiness on the show. But one can only imagine what it might be like to deal with her in your personal life. You know what I mean? Anyway, they have their conversation. I think they get all right. They also discuss a little bit about Sparkle moving to Arizona from LA, which she did that to be closer to her daughter, who is newly a college student. And so Miss Sparkle is suffering from the little empty nest thing, and I can dig it. I'm similar in that situation. I can relate to how she's feeling about it. But then the topic of her being in a relationship came up. Well, mainly, I think that her sister was expressing how she didn't want her to leave and go from California to Arizona. Shimona didn't want Sparkle to move. But, you know, Sparkle did what she needed to do, and she, you know, she did it, and so they've probably been adjusting now for a little while. So it's okay. But they did just kind of have the conversation about it, so it wasn't really that bad. And Miss Shimona was not overtly shitty about it or anything, you know. So I want to make sure I'm being fair with that and how I explain that exchange between them two. So that's the first couple minutes of the show. Then we get to where they are traveling over to Zimbabwe. So they travel to Zimbabwe. They get there. They get to their Airbnb at night. I don't know why I'm just assuming these are all Airbnbs, but whatever this rental home is, they get there to the rental home where they stay in, and it's nighttime. So all the ladies are kind of like, oh shit, you know, they're a little weirded out by I guess the landscaping's kind of creepy. They're seeing shadows, bars on all the windows. So they kind of like, oh my God, like what are we walking into? So they're not really feeling the house when they get there. The house is nice and beautiful. It's on a huge piece of property. So it's nice, but I guess it didn't look that bad to me. But it might be a different vibe when you actually walking through the house than it is for us watching on TV. You know what I'm saying? So they get in there, they go to, they have a hostess that comes down and meets them. The hostess shows them around the house and all that kind of stuff. And then they agree to actually sleep in the same room all together for the first night. Because they think the house is haunted. The hostess does confirm that it's been there a very long time. So it's probably not saying the spirit or two. It's a departure or two, you know, it's a thing, it happens. So then there's that. So they have dinner. Tiffany does, in this dinner conversation, she reveals that she is actually opening a grocery store over in the States, in LA. She's, you know, she said a lot of the other cultures in her community, you got the supermercado para los mexicanos, and then you got the Asian stores, they have their thing, you know what I'm saying? And so she really wants to open a store, an African store, a grocery store for her community. And so she's kind of talking about that a little bit. I think that's cute. I didn't see that coming. So I hope she is able to make that pop. It's pretty much it for the first night. So they have that conversation. And then they leave to go get their makeup done. They go to get their makeup done. And when they go to get their makeup done, they actually meet up with another friend of Tiffany. I think her name was Jackie. And so Jackie and Tiffany, they happy to reconnect or whatever. Some kind of way the conversation comes up where Tiffany is thinking she wants to have a wedding to marry herself. I'm like, okay. And so she explains it. She explains her intention and like what her motivations is for doing it, right? And so I guess it makes sense. She wants to make a commitment to herself. She wants to make sure that she's honoring herself in ways that she hasn't been able to do in the past. I don't know that a whole wedding is necessary. Although, I mean, what else are you going to do for a reality show that's filming in Africa with you and your 4 friends? Like, why not have a wedding for me by myself? That could be interesting. So that is an interesting approach to the show. I didn't see that coming. I don't know how I feel about that as even being a thing. Me personally, like, I understand why she's doing it. I agree with it wholeheartedly. I think it's important to commit to yourself before you commit. There's so many people that want you to commit to them first. I think that is so fucking weird that people are so... Oh my God. Like, I think that shit is so weird. It blows my mind how people want you to commit and do what they want you to do when they want you to do it, or you're not shit. I mean, I've elected to not be shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I just don't like being committed to things that are going to abuse or use, or where I end up feeling shitty all the time, or being in a fucked up mood all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good on it. So I understand Tiffany's motivations for what she's doing. Again, I don't know if it's necessary, but whatever. We're doing it for the show. After that, they leave and go to... Oh, when they leave from getting their makeup done, they go to a grocery store. Tiffany goes into the grocery store. She actually starts live streaming. I don't know if she was on TikTok or if she was on her Instagram. I don't know. But some kind of way, she goes live while she's in the grocery store. That goes viral. So everybody in the States is like posting blog posts, and people are talking about how she didn't know that African people had, you know, grocery stores and this and that. When clearly when she went live, that is not the tone of what she was saying. Her thing was like, look, they have really dope grocery stores over here. Like, they have really dope facilities and nice places, and we can do this over there, you know. But some kind of way that people decided to take it and twist it, like she was saying, I can't believe they have food. That's really not what they were talking about. Here's the thing. I forgot to mention, very important, that when they are in the makeup place, before we get to the grocery store, Jackie and Tiffany are talking about this mock wedding that she wants to have. Well, it's not a mock wedding. It's very real. Let me correct myself. But so they go over the idea. Jackie basically extends to her the ability for her to come through and meet up with some family members and stuff. And they're going to get her a dress made. And so all the friends are going to be involved in the wedding ceremony and all that. And so cool, right? So yeah, I forgot to mention that part because that's going to be very relevant very soon. So anyway, they have the conversation. She's going to get the wedding thing started and get that going. She goes to the grocery store. They look around. And then after that, they go and get their hair braided. And they start having a conversation. And here's Shimona. She just wants to make sure Tiff is not getting married and swearing off all men for the rest of her life. And so, Tiff is like, well, it's not really what I'm doing, but they, I need to do this for myself. So we get into that whole little exchange. I'm just not a fan of Miss Shimona. I don't know. I think it's bizarre. I don't know. Let me take that back. I'll take that back. I think it's important to have friends and people in your life who will present to you alternative opinions and perspectives. That is actually very important. So I do appreciate that part about her. And clearly they are very good friends. They've been friends for 30-something years. So, Tiffany don't strike me as a dumb girl. She might say some stupid or silly shit, but she's not dumb. You know what I'm saying? And so I have to give Miss Shimona credit just based on that fact. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of some of her ideologies. And I don't know that I'd be able to stomach it, but I probably would. If she's a good friend and she's a loyal friend and she's a truthful friend, it will probably be worth putting up with her and her stupid ass shit that she's talking about when I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? That sounds so bad. I'm sorry. That sounds so bad. Oh well, it is what it is, shit. So anyway, a lot of this episode is just a lot of the girls kind of moving around and they get their makeup done, they get their hair done, the braids are dope. Make me want to get my hair braided. But it's really just a lot of them having consistent conversations, and we're getting more to the crux of why Tiffany wants to have this wedding to herself and this and that. So that's pretty much it for episode 3. It was interesting, and shit, we just gonna slide on into episode 4 and see what they got for us, right? So it's your girl, the Bench B. That's all I gotta say about that shit for this episode. I'm gonna see y'all in a minute for episode 4. Bye.